We live in a world where the biggest creative company out there was caught putting hidden cancellation fees, training their AI models with your pictures, and even if they didn't do any of this, their monthly price is still outrageous, to say the least. And no, you don't need Adobe. Nowadays, for every Adobe software, there's almost an alternative that can be just good, but comes with a fraction of the price. But unfortunately, among all Adobe software, After Effects is almost untouched. There is no good alternative for After Effects, which is why I created my intro with 30 lines of Python to prove that I don't need After Effects. In fact, I created everything from logo to music, all using free software. Feel free to skip the logo design part if you already have a logo. Figma is a graphics manipulation software. A lot of people use Figma to design social media posts or user interfaces, and Adobe actually acquired Figma for a while, and in that case, I would have used Inkscape. So, in my case, Figma acts as a replacement for Illustrator or Photoshop. In Figma, you can create your shapes easily with just this set of tools. I still don't know much about vector graphics editing, but having only a handful of tools make it easier and less intimidating. First, you would create a frame, and you can choose from the available frame sizes or just freely create it yourself. I usually play around with fonts, shapes, and lines. You can create a shape with the available tool and combine them using Boolean tools like union, intersect, and etc. This will allow you to create more complex shapes out of basic shapes. Now take a look at these examples. The three words logo on the left actually only consists of choosing the appropriate font and adding a few bits of rotation and border play. And for the Arik logo, I literally just put some basic shapes and try to form the word Arik. Except for the R part, there are two shapes, and one of the shapes I actually just use a rounded rectangle that I crop using lines. After I have the shapes that I want, I go to coolors.com. They use color theory in their algorithm to figure out the best fitting color. Pressing space will randomize the color, and once you find the color that you want, you can lock that in while keep pressing space to find other matching color. Coolors also have sets of colors that are popular. This is especially good when you want to create gradients, like the gradient color of the Instagram logo. Once you have the logo, the last part is exporting. Make sure to export into SVG so that we can animate the path of the logo. In my case, I exported each letter one by one so that I can animate them individually. Manim is a Python library for creating mathematical animations. You can draw graphs, axes, and you can even go three-dimensional. However, I did not use most of these features since I only need to show each character of the logo. After installing Manim, I set up the animation by importing Manim and defining a scene class with a construct method. Manim has a black background by default, so I define my own background by setting the self.camera.background color property. At this point, we have something like this. In Manim, SVG objects are defined by the SVGM object, so I set up my media folder to contain each letter of my logo, and iteratively define each logo with Python's list comprehension. List comprehension is one of my favorite syntax in programming, as it reads just like plain English. Now, we need to arrange the imported files in a vertical group, which will group each letter from left to right. I also scale the group to 0.8 and move it to origin, which defines the center of the screen. Now so far we haven't actually drawn anything on the screen. We just define its arrangement and position. If we start drawing it on the screen, we should expect it to look something like this. Now, we animate the drawing of the letters. Starting from the previous code, I list out the animations that I want to play at the same time using the create animation. The create animation will simply trace the path of each letter to draw them in. Next, self.play is called, which means the animation should start playing on the screen. I want to have the animations lagged by a little bit, so it will show from the letter A to letter Q gradually. So I use the lag start function. If we export the result using Manim, we will see the letters being drawn one by one, having a slight lag in between. Moving on, I want to change the fill color of the logo. So for each letter in letters, I want to play the animation off, setting the border color to black and setting the fill color to white. Now, we not only draw the letters onto the screen, but also changing its border color and fill color after. Next, I scaled the logo to 100 to add some nice effect that I will show later. So the final result should look something like this. We first draw the letter one by one, set the color to white, and zoom in. What makes an intro good? I think intros should be simple but catchy. You can choose loud electronic bass boosted intros, but I'm more of a simple intros fan. You see, the previous intro only consists of bass, snare, and hi-hats. That's only one instrument, a drum. Now I happen to have an Apple device which is compatible with GarageBand, which I'm going to use. But I believe you can achieve this with any composing software. Or, to save some time, you can just look for royalty-free music that are available on the internet. After 10 minutes of tinkering, I came up with this intro. I'm not a composer, so I think this is good enough. So I'm going to go with it. Logo, animation, music. Let's put them together. Now, for a first intro, I wouldn't say it's bad at all. At least, I wouldn't change it for a while. If you do a lot of creative work and you benefit from Adobe, then it's probably still the best creative software out there. But if you only need to edit a few videos or a couple of photos or just make a simple intro for yourself, you really don't need Adobe software. And sometimes the free stuff can actually work really well and it can make your workflow easier. Now, let's play the intro again. I released my first personal website and I don't know yet what to do with it, but you can check them out on the description and subscribe.